as an individual, like somebody that they wanted to be here at K-State. I didn't feel like just another student or another member. I felt like they really catered the experience to me and to what I would get out of K-State, and that was definitely true once I became a student here.
I chose K-State based off the opportunities that other students have had the opportunity to do. I was really looking forward to the college experience and then also being able to do something with agriculture, and K-State provided me with the perfect opportunity for that, and it was also close enough for home that I could go home when I wanted to.
Really the atmosphere here is really close, like all the classes are close together. You don't really have to walk very far for your classes, and of course the family atmosphere.
My piece of advice would just be to come in with an open mind. I think coming from a farm and ranch background, I thought I knew everything about agriculture and knew exactly what I was getting into, the kind of people that I would be surrounded by. But definitely when I got to K-State, I realized there's a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds, and they can add a lot of useful information and just perspective on your life. So you learn a lot where you think you're not necessarily going to learn from. And so I would definitely just say come in with an open mind and perspective, because K-State's going to change your world for the better.
I would say that when you come here to K-State, go to events like the Watermelon Feed, where you have opportunities to sign up for a lot of different groups and organizations, and then go to some of those meetings and then find the few that you really enjoy the most and want to put the most time into, and then put everything you have into those.
I think my biggest advice would be sitting down and looking at what K-State can provide for you as a student. Look down what your interest is.
Getting involved in networking. That really made my college experience a lot easier, especially coming from a small high school to a much bigger university.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is older, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, down mama, take me home. Country roads. Gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads.
The convention hall will come to order. We are now holding the opening session of the 91st Kansas FFA Convention. Mr. Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they are at their stations, and report back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there.
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the President in maintaining order.
The Reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people, in order that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization that reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands, and from the state of Maine to Hawaii.
The Treasurer.
Stationed at the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements, just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standing through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The Secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duties there.
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The Advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why stationed by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I am asked to advise you from time to time as a need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripen with wisdom. Mr. Vice President, why do you keep the plow at your station?
The plow is the symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is a token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
I am pleased to announce that at this, the opening session of the 91st Kansas FFA Convention, there are 1,550 members, advisors, and guests registered, Mr. President.
Thank you. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities and responsibilities, and develop those qualities of leadership which an FFA member should possess. I now declare this session duly open for the transaction of business or attention to any matters which may properly be presented. Kansas FFA members, advisors, and guests, welcome to the opening session of the 91st Kansas FFA Convention. Our next few days together are jam-packed, and we cannot wait to experience all of convention with you. Now, State Convention shares something a lot in common with something else that is very near and dear to all of our hearts, our ag classrooms. Both State Convention and ag classrooms are places to display student success. Both can always seem packed and hectic, and best of all, both are filled to the brim with passionate leaders and an atmosphere of energy and excitement. This week, FFA members have left their summer vacations and ag classrooms behind and gathered here to show off that FFA is unlike any other learning experience out there. Our first convention guest is no stranger to the long hours put into an ag classroom, and she hopes to have an ag classroom of her own one day. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Marie Reveles to the stage to provide our convention invocation.
Please join me in reflecting in an attitude of prayer. Dear Lord, please bless all the members, guests, and helpers of this convention. Help us to open our minds and hearts to all the words of wisdom, opportunities of growth, and success that will happen here this week. Shine your light into our hearts so that we may reflect a positive attitude and strong integrity through all sessions, events, and fun activities that will happen. We also ask you to spread your love and compassion to those victims and farmers who are affected by the heavy rains, flooding, and recent storms. We thank you for the opportunity for us to all be here safely and ask for safe travels for all this week. In your name we pray, amen.
Marie, thank you for your years of service and for being with us here tonight. Whether it was as a member, as an officer, or an alumna, you have always led with your heart and have brought joy to many members' lives. Please accept this as a token of our appreciation. So many people are essential to a thriving ag classroom. Whether it's the members and students who put in countless hours studying, the advisors and teachers who supervise, or the administrators, school staff, and community supporters that volunteer resources, time, or wisdom, everyone's impact is important. Just as all of its parts reflect and make up the image of the whole classroom, the same applies to us here at Convention. No matter our role, we are all here contributing, building, and reflecting what Kansas FFA State Convention means. While we're in attendance this week, it's important that we continue to build up that outstanding image handed down to us by taking advantage of each opportunity to show our pride in the traditions of FFA. Make sure to be in attendance for the entire duration of as many sessions as possible. While at sessions, be respectful and attentive as we hear the messages from our guest speakers and celebrate those who have accomplished great deeds. Treat all McCain Auditorium staff, food service employees, hotel workers, and all other members of the Manhattan community with politeness and appreciation. Maintain proper conduct and positively represent our organization both in and out of the convention hall. Demonstrate that we believe in the future of FFA through our actions so that FFA members in the future will have the opportunity to experience state convention just as we do this week. Kansas FFA members have a reputation of being very respectful, so let's continue to positively add to that this week. It's time to kick off the opening session of this year's convention. Tonight, we will hear welcoming words from Jansen Penny, student body president of Kansas State University and former FFA alumnus. Then we will have the opportunity to welcome new chapters into our association by presenting their chapter charters. The top creed speakers, parliamentary procedure teams, and leadership quiz bowl teams will be announced, and following that, one of our own upcoming graduates, our 2018-2019 Kansas FFA Vice President, Mr. Michael Dowd, will deliver his retiring address. We will then honor our VIP citation recipient and celebrate the tradition of opening ceremonies with the top FFA chapters in the ritual LDE. The passion and heart demonstrated by national career development event teams will be celebrated and the CDE sweepstakes will be announced. We'll then present the Steel Outdoor Power Equipment Nursery Scholarships, and finally, we will hear the inspiring words of this session's keynote speaker, Mr. Cord McCoy. FFA members, advisors, and guests, let's get ready for an exciting first session. Many ag classrooms across the state are like a second home to students. However, many also house various critters and animals. Now, I've seen fish, ducks, hamsters, and everything in between, but to my knowledge, nothing in the specialty large animal category is currently being housed, at least nothing as close to a K-State wildcat like Willie. Ag classrooms are certainly home to many future wildcats, though, and some other mascots. And here to welcome us to Wildcat Country itself is Jansen Penny, the student body president of Kansas State University. Jansen has shown continual dedication and commitment to the students of K-State, first through his roles as a student senator, then as chairman of our Privilege Fee Committee, and now as student body president. On top of this, Jansen is a member of the Student Foundation and Farmhouse Fraternity while majoring in industrial engineering. Best of all, Jansen was a 4-year FFA member from Burlington, Colorado. His heavy involvement shows he truly does bleed purple and even a little national blue. Please join me in welcoming Jansen Penny to the stage.
Thank you, Max. Good evening and welcome to Kansas State University. Thank you all for coming to State Convention here in Manhattan. The State Convention serves as an amazing opportunity to not only show off your talents, hard work, and celebrate your accomplishments, but I really encourage you to take the opportunity to enjoy this time with your friends, with our campus, and with the community as well. We are really humbled to be able to welcome over 1,500 of you into our home this week. And whether you're a freshman and this is your very first convention, or you're a senior and you just graduated last week, I invite you to join us and make this your home for the next few days as well. And I'm really excited for you to get a taste of Manhattan too. I'd really encourage you, before you leave, make sure to get some Varsity Donuts and Call Hall ice cream as well. But on behalf of Kansas State University, we're looking forward to seeing you compete and celebrate your great accomplishments. And we hope to have each and every one of you here to join the Wildcat family in the near future. Welcome to Kansas State University and have an awesome week. Thanks and go Cats.
Jansen, thank you so much for being here with us this evening and for your dedication to the students of Kansas State University. Without people like you, KSU would not be what it is for us to enjoy today. We are definitely looking forward to our time on campus and here in the Manhattan community, and know that your support of the purple and blue and gold are making a big impact. Please accept this as a token of our appreciation. FFA and Ag Ed classrooms are places full of new beginnings and boundless potential. I didn't know quite what I was stepping into when I first stepped into the classroom that hosts so much more than Ag Ed lectures. Whether it's starting a new CDE or SAE, planning new events, or greeting fresh faces every year, new beginnings and opportunities are abundant in an Ag classroom. Each year, we are happy to invite entire new classrooms into our organization by presenting their chapter charters. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the chapters receiving their charters this year.
There are 6 chapters receiving their Kansas FFA Association charters. The Ashland FFA chapter. The Chanute FFA chapter. The Kiowa County FFA chapter. The Lakin FFA chapter. The Mulvane FFA chapter. And the Shawnee Heights FFA chapter. Please join me in another round of applause as we welcome these chapters into our association.
There are only so many ingredients in an ag classroom. We've got the three-circle model, complete with SAEs, classroom lab work, and of course, the FFA. And then there are the structural pieces we all know, like desks, tables, and chairs. Yet with many of the same pieces, ag teachers still find ways to put their own unique spin on their classroom using many of the same pieces found everywhere else. Likewise, the Creed-speaking LDE competitors must all work with the exact same words to make their own unique and inspiring rendition. Creed-speaking members from across the state have had to not only recite the Creed, but also answer extensive questions afterwards. It may have discomforts, but always brings joy to those competing and spectating. This next group of members have been selected as our state's top 4 Creed speakers. Each will receive a plaque and a cash award. The individual selected as Creed-speaking LDE winner will represent Kansas at Indianapolis at the National FFA Convention in the fall. The Armbruster family is the sponsor of this LDE, and here to present are Robert and Melva Armbruster. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the finalists in the Creed-speaking leadership development event.
The top 4 individuals in the 2019 State Creed Speaking Leadership Development Event in ranking order are: receiving 4th place is Sophia Fleer from the Prairie View FFA chapter. Third place honors go to Emerson Nichols from the Russell FFA chapter. In 2nd place is Hannah Wetson from the West Elk FFA chapter. And your 2019 State Creed Speaking Leadership Development Event winner is Molly Foote from the Hoxie FFA chapter. Let's congratulate our Creed finalists as they exit the stage.
Our Creed winner, Molly, will now present her rendition of the FFA Creed.
I believe in the future of agriculture, with a faith born not of words, but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturalists, in the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. I believe that to live and work on a good farm, or to be engaged in other agricultural pursuits, is pleasant as well as challenging. For I know the joys and discomforts of agricultural life and hold an inborn fondness for those associations, which, even in hours of discouragement, I cannot deny. I believe in leadership from ourselves and respect from others. I believe in my own ability to work efficiently and think clearly with such knowledge and skill as I can secure, and in the ability of progressive agriculturalists to serve our own and the public interest in producing and marketing the product of our toil. I believe in less dependence on begging and more power in bargaining, in the life abundant and enough honest wealth to help make it so, for others as well as myself, in less need for charity and more of it when needed, in being happy myself, in playing square with those whose happiness depends upon me. I believe that American agriculture can and will hold true to the best traditions of our national life, and that I can exert an influence in my home and community, which will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task. Thank you.
Molly, congrats on your success in the Creed-speaking LDE. The courage that you have shown by giving your own rendition of the FFA Creed shows that you have taken your initial interest in FFA and agriculture and transformed it into a passion. We are extremely excited to see how you further take that interest going on in your FFA career and wish you the best of luck as you compete at Nationals in Indianapolis this fall. Congratulations. Please join me in welcoming Emily Dowd and Riley Slichter to the stage for a very special introduction.
Having a brother is like having a built-in best friend and one of the world's greatest role models. Some of my favorite memories include livestock shows, drives to who knows where, and of course jamming out to music a little too loud. I'll always remember when Michael almost crashed his truck going to the fair, or when he played the recorder through his nose. I've always been amazed with everything Michael has done, including the time he got his wisdom teeth taken out and danced to Copperhead Road in a parking lot.
Throughout the past year of living with Michael, I have learned many lessons, such as his never-to-fail method of waking yourself up, where you crank up some 2000s boy band music as loud as possible and have a full-on rock-out session for about 5 minutes. After that, you are ready to conquer just about anything that day. Or his way of working, which is very similar to Doug the Talking Dog from the movie Up, where he can go from focus to squirrel in just about any time. He always refocuses just as fast, though, teaching me that it is a good thing to take study breaks every now and then. But the most important lesson that I've learned from Michael is that it is okay to be yourself and to let your true personality flow, which has greatly impacted myself and dozens of people around him over the past year.
It is with great pleasure that we get to introduce to you my brother
and my best friend
and your Kansas FFA Vice President for his retiring address called Something More.
Maybe we reached the mountain peak and there's no more left to climb. And maybe we lost the magic piece and we're both too blind to find. Let's start over. Let's give love their wings. Let's start over. Stop fighting about the same old thing. Let's start over.
What combines the elements of a high-stakes search, the lottery, and a rampage of children? For my family, this was the annual Easter egg hunt at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Any grandkid younger than the age of 5 could be found speeding through the house and lawn, searching under every hiding spot imaginable and scrounging to collect the most Easter eggs. Once the mad dash was finished, us grandkids would survey our new loot. In my books, the jelly beans were of the highest priority, followed by the quarters and the dimes, and then finally the M&Ms. After a few years of statistical observations, like just about any other 5-year-old, I came to the realization that there was no connection between the goodies that were inside and the outside shape and color of the Easter egg. Maybe this was meant to be some life-changing moment, or maybe it was just because Grandpa was too lazy to color coordinate. The world may never know, but the same could be said about how we define ourselves and our impact. What really matters has nothing to do with what initially meets the eye. A few months ago, our team attended the National Sponsors Board meeting at Cargill. Of course, all of us were excited to see the new building, interact with members, and have some pretty awesome food. Before too long, Max and I struck up a conversation with the lady sitting behind us. We could instantly tell that this lady was a huge Purdue fan because she started the conversation with, "Hi, I can help you get into Purdue. Here's my business card." Beth Bechtel was her name, and I soon discovered that Beth is the most passionate, enthusiastic, and humbled person I've ever encountered. She instantly started sharing about the work that she does for AgriNovus, a company that connects agriculture companies to large-scale technology companies like Microsoft. Beth was always willing to share her story, and her passion for growth was shown when she talked about agriculture. That day, Beth shared some wisdom that forever changed my outlook on life. She said, Michael, look around. This is real life. There are no rubrics or scorecards when it comes to real life. This statement was so powerful to me because I had lived the lie that I was defined by how I placed, what office I held, or what grade I received. Later on, when I connected with Beth on LinkedIn, I realized that Beth is not just some ordinary Purdue graduate. Beth is the president and CEO of AgriNovus, which is just one part of her impressive list of former titles, including Deputy Director for the Indiana Department of Ag, Chief of Staff to the USDA Undersecretary, Senior Economist for the Senate Ag Committee, and multiple president and vice president positions. I was stunned at all of the high-level positions that Beth has held during her career. But Beth was not just a title. Beth was not just a person. Beth embodied what it means to be a person who's purposeful, sincere, humbled, and considerate. Hearing Beth's passion and seeing Beth's enthusiasm showed me that my worth is not based on the title next to my name. My worth is based on my impact and contribution. Far too often we find ourselves searching for the next title, the next achievement, the next increment of our success. We might aim for becoming chapter president or placing high individual at a contest or winning a school-wide event. President, owner, team captain, vice president, cashier, prom king or queen, secretary, varsity player, grand champion, homecoming royalty, treasurer, JV player, valedictorian, lifeguard, reporter, employee, officer, stage director, sentinel, manager, state qualifier, all of these are titles. These ambitions are valuable and they can help motivate us to reach for the stars. But our worth is not based on the title next to our name. We are worth something more. We are defined not by our titles that we can obtain, but rather by the positive impacts we make on the world around us. Those impacts are so varied from person to person, but in order to reach great impacts, we must first find and live out adjectives. Genuine, faithful, honest, robust, reliable, and so many others. All of these adjectives are greater than simple titles we can obtain. These adjectives leave impacts that are long-lasting and meaningful to the people all around us. It's so important that we drive our worth based on adjectives, traits, and skills, instead of on temporary titles that will soon fade away. So we must ask ourselves, what adjectives, talents, traits, and skills do we bring to the table? If someone were to write an article about you, what words would they gravitate to? Would they be choosing words from the left side or the right side of the screen? What words do you want them to choose? This day, let's find 3 adjectives that summarize us and our impact. When we live out those 3 adjectives, amazing things begin to happen. Members of the Coffeyville FFA chapter assisted as I presented about agriculture to 200 third grade students at their local elementary school. Within moments, the entire room was buzzing, and the rambunctious third graders were asking questions left and right, questions like, how do farmers use drones? To, what would happen if a pig charged you while riding a cow? The entire room was like a circus, and everyone was bouncing off the walls, asking questions, sharing inputs, giving ideas, until one student started bawling. What am I supposed to do? Do I give him a high five? Do I toss some candy and hope he feels better? Do I tell a dad joke? I was in no way prepared to handle this situation. Thankfully, their third grade teacher, Mr. Brewington, stepped in, pulled the student aside, and resolved the situation. Later, Mr. Brewington shared that many of his students face challenges with emotional trauma because of their home life. He went on to share that Coffeyville is a Mercury school, piloting in trauma therapy and emotional well-being. Many of Mr. Brewington's students face issues with their emotional trauma, and so he spends time with each student talking through their feelings and their challenges. I walked into that room prepared to give a presentation about agriculture to third grade students who I assumed would be energetic and enthusiastic the entire day, just like little kids. I was in no way prepared to handle an individual student's emotional trauma. Mr. Brewington, on the other hand, comes to school every single day, prepared to extend his impact beyond students' learning. Mr. Brewington did not let the title of teacher define his impact, but instead he embodied what the word teacher meant to him. While still taking the time to grade papers and make lesson plans, Mr. Brewington also took the time to make an impact on each of his students by being their source of counsel and support. Mr. Brewington was called to something more, and he fulfills that calling through every student he impacts. In a world that constantly focuses on titles, we are called to focus on something more. The first step in shifting this focus is to recognize those individuals who, like Mr. Brewington, make a positive difference on our lives and the lives of others. Take a moment and think of one individual who's made a positive impact on your life. Maybe that person is back home. Maybe that person is in a different state or a different country. Maybe that person is in this auditorium right now. With this person in mind, think of 3 adjectives that describe this impactful individual. Thankfully, we have a list of adjectives right here that can help us along. But by all means, go beyond this list. Make those 3 adjectives unique and personal to the person who's made an impact on you. Thankfully, in the modern age, we also have some tools that can help us deliver our recognition effectively and quickly. One of these tools answers to the phrase, "Hey Siri, let's pull out our phones right now." Since we're all in convention mode, and we're all running around doing awesome things and hearing incredible sessions like this one, let's plan to give this recognition when it can truly matter, when it will make a difference and mean something to us. Let's plan to give this recognition next week. Let's open the Reminders app on our phone. On the newest line, type the name of the individual who's made the biggest impact on your life. Right next to their name, write down the 3 adjectives that describe them. For iPhone users, tap the blue eye on the right side of this line. For everyone, let's set this reminder for Tuesday, June 4th at 9 a.m. When this reminder finally arrives, we will send this impactful individual a message, text message, an email, anything, with those 3 adjectives and with the reason why they've made an impact on our life. Taking this action is the first step in showing others that their worth is not temporary and their impact does not go unnoticed. When we build our greatness around our impact, we are able to fulfill a calling that is something more than just a title. Like Beth Bechtel, we are called to be more than the title on our business card. We are called to recognize individuals, just like Mr. Brewington, who make a positive difference on our lives and the lives of those around us. We have the potential to live a life full of true service and good intentions. But that potential begins when we define ourselves based on adjectives, traits, skills. We are worth more than idly climbing through the ladders of life, searching for our next success. We are more than our placing on the podium. We are more than the words written on our FFA jacket. We are more than our position on the team. We are called to be recognized by our actions and our passions. We are called to make an impact. We are called to something more.
There's gotta be something more, gotta be more than this. I need a little less hard time, I need a little more bliss. I wanna take my chances, taking a chance I might find what I'm looking for.
Michael, this year has been every bit of incredible with you. All of us have been impacted by your energy, your drive, and your spunky nature. Thank you for always addressing obstacles head on, for always keeping us entertained and on our toes with your sharp wit, and for fearlessly living your life to the fullest. May you never stop your pursuit of something more. Kansas FFA, your 2018-2019 Kansas FFA Vice President, Mr. Michael Dowd. Please join me in welcoming Michael's parents, advisors, and school administrators to the stage for a special recognition.
Mr. Williams, over the last 3 years of having you as a high school principal, I've realized that you have an intense passion for encouraging students. Thank you for always including and promoting FFA across the school. Thank you for also pushing me to serve our chapter and our school. Please join me in welcoming and thanking my high school principal, Mr. Mark Williams. Ms. Wyckoff, shy little freshman Michael did not know much about agriculture, FFA, or high school. You played a key role in developing my passion for agriculture. Thank you for fueling my love for this organization during such an influential time in my life. Ms. Hampton, there are very few people who are as passionate and as dedicated as yourself. You're always willing to give your entire self to your students. You've taught me to embrace my differences and that true service is based on good intentions. You've made a positive impact on my life. Kansas FFA members and guests, please join me in celebrating my ag advisors, Mrs. Roberta Wyckoff and Ms. Alicia Hampton. Mom and Dad, I'm so thankful to have grown up in a household that loves me and supports me for who I am. Mom, from a young age, you always taught me the value of communication and connections. I wouldn't trade any of those hours that we spent together in the barn. Dad, everything that you do with excellence, and I'm honored to continue your legacy and your name. Thank you both for pouring everything into Emily and myself. Kansas FFA, please join me as I introduce my parents, Tim and Julie Dowd, and bestow upon them the honorary state FFA degree.
Thank you all for your continued investment in Michael and in FFA. This year would not have been possible without the support of each and every one of you. Members and guests, please give them a final round of applause as these remarkable individuals exit the stage.
Just one chance, just one moment, change the course, it's time we show it, raise our voice.
Ag classrooms often have a ton of history behind them, and the luckiest have people that have built that history themselves still leading the way. Whether it's an ag advisor who's put down roots in the community, or a longtime administrator who's been a friend of the chapter, or a local supporter who's always there to drive vehicles or coach teams, an ag classroom is blessed if it has people that have dedicated years to the program and its students. These longtime supporters have a huge impact on the classroom over their tenure. Our state association has similar individuals who have served the organization to the utmost, and we recognize them with a special honor. The VIP citation is awarded to individuals who have demonstrated a lifetime of service to the Kansas FFA Association. It is because of the dedication of these individuals that Kansas FFA has continued to grow and prosper. Mr. Secretary, will you please introduce tonight's VIP citation recipient?
Tonight, we award the VIP citation to Dr. Don Boggs. Dr. Boggs serves as the Associate Dean for Academic Programs for the College of Agriculture at Kansas State University and has since 2005. He has oversight of all College of Agriculture activities related to the teaching programs covering approximately 2,700 undergraduate students in 15 majors and 550 graduate students across 19 graduate degrees. Despite this responsibility, Dr. Boggs has never lost sight of his love for students and vision for the future of the College of Ag, including Ag Ed and FFA. Under Dr. Boggs' leadership, the agricultural education degree transitioned from the College of Education to the College of Agriculture, as well as the College of Ag becoming a 4-star Kansas FFA Foundation sponsor. Dr. Boggs is a key connection in the College of Agriculture's support of FFA through hosting and coordinating CDEs, sponsoring events and programming, and support of state officer training and convention in the form of staff volunteers, facilities, and guidance. Most of all, Dr. Boggs is a fantastic educator who excels at connecting with people on their level and then pushing them to raise that bar to their fullest potential. His deep passion for ensuring opportunities for all students shows to anyone he meets and is evidenced by the personal relationships he forms with those around him. We are so grateful for Dr. Boggs' longtime commitment to agriculture education and FFA. Please join me in giving our VIP citation recipient, Dr. Don Boggs, another round of applause.
Every ag classroom has rules that we must abide by to keep the peace. Imposed push-ups for missing the trash can three-pointer, snack buffet Fridays, or no sliding across the tables are all rules that I've seen in effect in various classrooms in my travels this year. Our parliamentary procedure teams are all too familiar with rules to follow. Laid down by Robert, our advisors, and the meeting chair, they help us run effective meetings and allow every member to have a voice. We will now recognize the top 4 teams in both the novice and senior divisions. Our sponsor for both the novice and senior divisions is the CHS Foundation. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors for this event. Mr. Secretary, please announce the results of the novice parliamentary procedure leadership development event.
The winning Novice Division team will represent Kansas at the Invitational Parliamentary Procedure competitive event hosted by the Society for Agricultural Education Parliamentarians during the National FFA Convention. Please join me in welcoming the top 4 chapters in the Novice Division to the stage. In the novice division, the 4th place team is the Southeast of Saline FFA chapter. Earning 3rd place is the Royal Valley FFA chapter. In 2nd place is the Riverton FFA chapter. And the 2019 state champion novice parliamentary procedure team is Labette County FFA chapter. Let's congratulate these teams as they exit the stage. The winning senior division team will represent Kansas at the National FFA Convention this fall. In the senior division, the 4th place team is the Clay Center FFA chapter. Earning 3rd place is the Labette County FFA chapter. In 2nd is the Mission Valley FFA chapter. And the 2019 state champion parliamentary procedure team is the Girard FFA chapter. Let's congratulate these teams as they exit the stage.
Just one chance, just one moment, change the course. It's time we show it. Raise our voice.
I'm sure that we can all picture what a standard ag classroom, Our ag classrooms are one of the places that we put the most time and effort into memorizing and learning. But there are lots of areas outside the classroom that require these skills too. Throughout all 4 years of high school, one of my favorite activities was Scholars Bowl. Also known as Quiz Bowl, the name of the game was to know as much trivia as possible in as many traditional academic categories as you could, and to be the fastest team to beat the other one to the buzzer and correctly answer the question. It took repetition, memory, and a widely knowledgeable team to do well. Now take Scholars Bowl and make it exclusively about the FFA, and you have the Leadership Quiz Bowl LDE. The teams in Leadership Quiz Bowl have put in the work to tackle the hefty task of memorization that success requires, and it's paid off. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the top teams in the Leadership Quiz Bowl.
Teams placing in the 2019 Kansas FFA Quiz Bowl competition are, in 4th place, Anderson County FFA chapter. In third place, the Uniontown FFA chapter. In second place, the Ellis FFA chapter. And the winner of the 2019 Quiz Bowl competition is the Norton FFA chapter. Please join me in congratulating these teams for their success in the Quiz Bowl as they exit the stage.
I'm sure we can all picture what that standard ag classroom looks like. But despite having similar structures, ag classrooms all have their own distinct style and appearance. That's what I love about the Ritual LDE. Despite having the exact same structure and words to say, teams will still have to train so hard to bring something unique and special out of the ceremonies that we all know and love. Chapters from across the state help put their own unique flavor into the ceremonies each time they perform in the Ritual Leadership Development event. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the top teams in the Ritual Leadership Development event.
The finalists in the Ritual Demonstration Leadership Development event in ranking order are: in fourth place, the Riverton FFA chapter. The third place team is the Rock Creek FFA chapter. Earning second place is the West Franklin FFA chapter. And the 2019 state champion Ritual Demonstration team is the Inman FFA chapter. Let's congratulate these teams as they exit the stage.
To this day, anyone who knows me will say that I am a pretty competitive person. Whoops. So sorry. In fact, without competition, I may never have gotten involved in FFA. Judging contests in the form of CDEs were what initially drew me to the ag classroom and were a staple of my FFA experience. Many FFA members have a similar experience with CDEs, and some are even lucky enough to go on to a higher level. Let's recognize those distinguished teams that will represent Kansas FFA Association at the 2019 National Career Development event in Indianapolis. Mr. Secretary, please announce the teams who will represent Kansas at the National FFA Convention.
The teams representing the Kansas Association at the 2019 National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana are an Agricultural Communications, sponsored by KFRM 550 AM Radio, the Girard FFA chapter, and the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Taylor Brines. The agricultural sales sponsored by Central Valley Ag is the Labette County FFA chapter. The high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Lindsay Gonzalez from the Washburn Rural FFA chapter. In agricultural technology and mechanical systems, sponsored by Great Plains Manufacturing, represented by Michaela Nichols, Barry Weiss, Jaron Francois, and Dale Wooten. The Phillipsburg FFA chapter and the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Alan Connor. For agronomy, sponsored by the Kansas Grain and Feed Association and the Kansas Agribusiness Retailers Association, is the Washington County FFA chapter, with the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Grace Otot. For dairy cattle, sponsored by Zoetis Animal Health International, the Norton FFA chapter. The high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Jonah Reuter from the Norton FFA chapter. In entomology, sponsored by DuPont Pioneer, is the Stockton FFA chapter, and the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Nate Billinger. For environmental science, sponsored by Kansas Grain Sorghum Commission, the Clay Center FFA chapter. In floriculture, sponsored by CHS Foundation, represented by Jeff Colley, the Spring Hill FFA chapter. The high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Emma Roy from the Lewisburg FFA chapter. For Farm and Agribusiness Management, sponsored by Agmark LLC, the Paola FFA chapter. And the high individual for farm and agribusiness management is Taylor Bryans from the Girard FFA chapter. In food science and technology, the Lewisburg FFA chapter. In forestry, the Jackson Heights FFA chapter. For horse evaluation, sponsored by Kansas Horse Council and Friends of the Council, the Caney FFA chapter. In livestock evaluation, sponsored by Central Life Sciences, represented by Mark Upton, is the Uniontown FFA chapter. The high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Brody Nemechek from the Iola FFA chapter. In meats evaluation and technology, sponsored by Cargill, represented by Hallie Nett, is the Pleasant Ridge FFA chapter. In milk quality and products, sponsored by Midwest Dairy, represented by Kyler Oldie, is the Marmaton Valley FFA chapter, with the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship, Hannah Dahl. For nursery landscape, sponsored by Loma Vista Nursery, the Lewisburg FFA chapter. The high individual for nursery landscape receiving a $500 scholarship is Hallie Hutzel from Lewisburg. In poultry evaluation, sponsored by the Amos Carr Trust, the Spring Hill FFA chapter, with the high individual receiving a $500 scholarship, Morgan Weinbold. In veterinary science, sponsored by Zoetis Animal Health International, the Labette County FFA chapter. The high individual receiving a $500 scholarship is Paige Anderson from the Lewisburg FFA chapter. Let's once again congratulate those chapters that will be representing the best of the Kansas FFA Association at National Convention this fall.
I'm sure we all know the feeling of what it's like to be evaluating what a nice day it is outside the ag classroom window. Competitors in the land and home site CDEs get to take those skills that they learn inside the ag classroom and actually apply them out amongst the grass and the soil. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the names of the teams who will be representing Kansas in the National Land and Home Site CDEs and range competitions?
Representing Kansas at the National Land and Home Site competition this year were the Hayes FFA chapter, the Hugoton FFA chapter, the Jackson Heights FFA chapter, the Labette County FFA chapter, Please join me in congratulating these teams for representing Kansas in the 2019 National Land and Home Site CDE. Participating in the National Range Management CDE was the Clay Center FFA chapter, please join me in congratulating this team for representing Kansas in the 2019 National Range Management CDE.
Anyone who has experience in ag classrooms knows that they are way more varied and diverse than your normal classroom. With everything from greenhouses to welding shops to laboratory experiments, ag classrooms dabble in a little bit of everything. Just like those ag classrooms, these next chapters have sampled many different aspects of FFA and ag education and had success in many various career development events. As chapters, they have pushed their members to compete in several CDEs while also maintaining the highest level of performance. We will now recognize those who have scored the highest in the largest number of these competitions. Mr. Secretary, will you please read the names of the chapters excelling in the CDE sweepstakes?
This year's sweepstakes teams in ranking order are: in 5th place is the Washington County FFA chapter. In 4th place is the Ottawa FFA chapter. Earning 3rd place is the Spring Hill FFA chapter. Receiving 2nd place is the Labette County FFA chapter. And your 2019 State Career Development Event Sweepstakes winner is the Lewisburg FFA chapter. Let's again recognize this year's Sweepstakes award-winning chapters as they exit the stage.
Learning and furthering education are at the heart of every ag classroom. For those who choose to invest in furthering their education after high school, though, a little extra help is always appreciated. Thankfully, there are individuals and companies who have equal incentive in seeing those members succeed in their chosen occupations, and they provide their support in the form of academic scholarships. Let's recognize those receiving the Steel Outdoor Power Equipment Nursery Scholarships. Steel Outdoor Power Equipment is graciously providing $1,000 scholarships to the top 5 individuals in the Nursery Landscape Career Development Event. Mr. Secretary, please read the names of the 5 individuals in the Nursery Landscape Career Development Event who are the recipients of these scholarships.
The recipients of the Steel Outdoor Power Nursery Landscape Scholarships are Hallie Hutzel from the Lewisburg FFA chapter, Faith Suferling from the Lewisburg FFA chapter, Hattie Harris from the Lewisburg FFA chapter, Addie Katzer from the Lewisburg FFA chapter. Please help us in congratulating those winners with a round of applause.
Unlike other classrooms, ag classrooms are often areas full of food and goodies. They might be food science or dairy food evaluation materials, officer team meeting breakfasts, or beef sticks that the chapter sells as a fundraiser. One thing is for sure, an ag classroom is an excellent place to find some nourishment for our stomachs. Tonight, we have the chance to receive some nourishment for our minds as we hear the inspiring words of Mr. Cord McCoy. Our kickoff speaker is sponsored by Harris Crop Insurance. Just like it always feels like we're always racing either the clock, our peers, or a rival chapter in our ag classrooms, Mr. McCoy also has lots of experience racing. Alongside his brother Jet, Cord was a competitor in the 16th, 18th, and 24th seasons of The Amazing Race, and dubbed the Cowboys, the duo were fan favorites. On top of this, Mr. McCoy is a world-renowned bull rider and now ranches near his hometown of Lane, Oklahoma. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speaker, Mr. Cord McCoy.
Howdy, 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 howdy. Hello, Kansas. Ah, dog. It's good to be here, huh? For sure. Hey, give your FFA team a big round of applause. Let's get loosened up a little bit. Yeah, good job. I was just kind of checking the calendar when I come in here. You know, 20 years ago, I sat in the same seats that you guys are in at our state FFA convention, just waiting to be inspired for the next 20 years. And I feel like tonight, it is my duty to inspire you for the best 20 years of your life coming up. Lucky for you guys, I think I've got a little bit of experience. I might be able to help you out some. I've traveled all over the United States, from Madison Square Garden in New York City to San Francisco, California at the Cow Palace. I've rode all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Brazil. I guess that's even before the Amazing Race started. I've been all the way around the world 3 times, and I've been called a cowboy in every single country that I've been in. I've even actually been in Las Vegas during Halloween walking down the strip, and everybody's dressed up then, and sure enough, cowboy, like, you got me. Today, I'm going to let you guys know how to win the amazing race in life, cowboy style. Yeah, all right, yeah, cowboy style. Let me tell you guys a quick story. I was leaving the Cheyenne Frontier days, the biggest rodeo in Wyoming. I'd just been bucked off, had a bad day, and I'm driving back to Oklahoma, and my brother Jet, he calls me up, said, hey, I got a great idea. 2-man team, race around the world, pays $1 million. Of course, I only heard 3 words, race, $1 million. By the time I got done with this conversation, I'm ready to jump off a cliff or eat whatever I got to do to win this $1 million. And since I didn't have TV, it wasn't to become reality TV stars. So Jed, he kind of talks me into it, and we go home, and we fill out the bio and everything you got to do to apply for the race, and did this 20-second home video. And you really never realize how country you are until you do a home video and send it to Hollywood. Yeah. It kind of goes something like this, hi, my name's Cord McCoy, this is my brother Jet. We're going to win your little race around the world. And sure enough, they seen the video. They said, hey, they called us up and said, we seen that video. You guys be interested in coming to California? Hollywood. And we say, sure, you guys buy the tickets. So LA, here we come. So we fly into LAX there, and they pick us up in this big old long limo and take us to this big fancy hotel. And sure enough, as soon as we get out, you start seeing all these pairs of two, all these people that are trying out for this amazing race to go around the world. And they're all matching, every one of them. All of them got same bandanas and outfits and yoga pants and gym shoes. And me and Jet thought, we missed the memo. We're looking nothing alike. I've got a white shirt on, he's got a black shirt on, he's got brown boots, I got black boots. He got a black hat, I got a white hat. We look nothing alike at all. So sure enough, we go in there. We're done kind of sizing up the competitors. None of them was as big as the bull I'd got on the week before, so not as intimidated as we thought. We go into this first room for the interview, and they got a whole line of people from New York City and Los Angeles, all the CBS staff over there. I guess that's what I thought they'd look like anyways. They look like suits. Is that what you call them, suits? They look like suits. Anyway, so we walk in there, and sure enough, right off the bat, very first question we get there, they looked at it and said, so what are you guys gonna wear on this race around the world? Well, I look at Jet, and Jet looks at me, and I'm pretty much wearing the same thing I'm wearing today, and so we're ready to go right now. The amazing race is so much like life. And the challenges we have with roadblocks, with detours, language barriers, wrong turns, there's challenges all along the way. We were picked as one of the 11 teams of 40,000 applications to race around the world. We start the very first leg of the race. We're in Santiago, Chile. The first day, first leg of the race. We get there, and they've got these cameras just zoomed in on you. You can't even pick your nose on this thing. They will catch everything. And the very first thing that we got a roadblock was our first challenge. And Jet, he reaches down and opens up, and they're zoomed in, and the roadblock, only one of you does it, and it says, who's got the nerves of steel and the heart of a lion? And Jet looked at me and said, that's you. Well, I wasn't going to deny that on national television, whether it's true or not. We found ourselves in last place. The very first leg of the race, the very first day, we're in last place, and the challenge is on me, the roadblock. But one thing that they did not know is this ain't my first rodeo. There's 3 things I'm going to tell you guys about today. Number 1, you got to pull your hat down. It's game time out there. Number 2, you're going to get bucked off. You got to get back on. And number 3, you got to run the race to win, even in life. You know, as a cowboy, when things get a little interesting, crazy, whatever you want to call it, I mean, the first thing you do is kind of pull your head down because you don't know what's coming up next. And when Phil, the commentator for The Amazing Race, he lines all these 22 people up there, and, you know, he's telling us, you know, be careful, travel safe, yada, yada, whatever that he's going to say. And you don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what the challenge is going to be. But when he raises that right hand up and lifts his eyebrow like Phil does, it says, on your mark, get set. Well, I pull my hat down, which brings back 1,000 memories that get me in the zone. You know, when you're riding a bucking horse or a bull in the rodeo, they walk that bull up in the chute, and he kind of comes around and stands there all real nice and sweet and still, and you know, it looks easy right there. You crawl over on top, and you know, the last thing you do is you pull your hat down, because that's the last time that you're kind of have in control. Because you don't, when that gate opens, you don't know what's going to happen, which way he's going to go. He's got an 1,800-pound animal that's got a mind of his own. And just the wrong move or a mistake can be pretty dangerous or fatal, even cost you your life. So we don't pull our hats down in the middle of a blizzard. We pull our hats down before we go outside. We don't pull our hats down during the race. We pull our hats down when we get set. Pull your hats down, and no matter the challenge, you'll be ready for it. Pretty sure all you guys know what a cowboy does when he gets bucked off, right? You get back on. You know, in 2004, I was hot and heavy on the rodeo trail. I'd been all over the country. I went to Canada, flew to Florida, and got to finish the week at my home state rodeo there at Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma State Fair. And I knew I had to ride a bucking horse that afternoon in the championship round. I remember flying into the airport. I remember landing. My whole family was going to come watch because it's close to home, you know. But that's about the last thing I remember of that day. I had to get somebody else to tell me the story. I come into town, got my saddle out, you know, went to the rodeo and got on the bucking horse. But I guess as the chute gate opened, the horse bucked across the arena. And when he got to the middle of the arena, this horse reared straight up in the air. And when he was in the air, I lost contact of my swells and rolled out the back off this horse. And right when I was behind him, the horse just kicked out. And the end of his hoof caught me in the side of the head, just crushed my skull like a Coke can. I lay there on the arena floor, just bleeding out every hole in my head. You know, the sports medicine team on hand, they run out there to see what they were going to do, but, you know, it didn't take a doctor to know it was bad. They had already called in emergency surgery before I even left the arena grounds there that Sunday afternoon. I had one thought that rolled through my mind as they strapped me to the board to take me out of the State Fair arena, that I didn't know what happened. I knew it was bad, and I said, God, please help me. Doctors did emergency surgery that day. They scalped my head and laid my skull back and pulled the skull off my brain. They drilled a nickel-sized hole above my left ear to relieve pressure because my brain was just swelling so fast. They told my parents that I probably won't live, and if I do, there's a good chance that I won't even be mentally stable. 2 weeks later, I woke up, and there was a sign up there that my sister had wrote down. It said, God loves you. ICU, hospital, rehab center. A couple weeks later, they said, Cord, if you can get up, you brush your teeth and put your pants on. We're gonna let you go. I got up and I brushed my teeth, put my pants on, went home. I didn't have it made yet. 6 more months of speech therapy and physical therapy. But I just graduated college not long before that. I didn't have a house, didn't have a place, didn't have nothing. I moved back in with Mom and Dad. But, still, even if I wanted to go outside and do something on the ranch, I had to put a little old bicycle helmet on because my skull was still soft like a baby, just to do anything. It just wasn't safe for me to even be out on the ranch. I think I did what any big old tough cowboy would do at that time, I cried. And I cried. And I cried. But that next breath when I sat up, that was my get back on breath. I knew that this wasn't my story. This is not how it's written. That if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out doing something that I love. Doctors did CAT scans, X-rays. Sure enough, it's still broke. They said it looks like an Arkansas road map over there on the left side. I did my very best sales pitch. I mean, my daddy's a horse trader, so I tell this doctor about these brand new helmets they've got just designed specially for bull riding. I give him my best sales pitch to get back in. And this doctor looked at me like, you idiot. Evidently, you don't remember what happened. But he said, you know what? As long as you keep that helmet on, I'll release you. Boy, I was pumped. Before I even left that doctor's office, I done called and entered my first rodeo for my get back on time. I don't think there's been anybody been on more legs of the Amazing Race than the Cowboys. Been all the way around the world 3 times, and sure enough, right off the bat, this media outlet from New York City called, and they called me and Jet. Want to know how life has changed. What's our life now? I mean, 30 million people a week watch you on CBS and voted CBS most dynamic duo, and me and Jet, we're kind of sitting there looking at a big old herd of steers. So, well, these cattle don't have TV. These cattle don't care. Not much has changed around the ranch. The world gets us in such a social race or a money race or just trying to get whatever that your neighbor has. The biggest thing that we get from the Amazing Race is realizing that we've already won. With the friends that we have, the opportunities that we have, and the things they're already right in front of us. We take off to win the $1 million, but being satisfied with what we already have, we realize that we're already the winners. I guess some final thoughts from one cowboy to another. Pull your hat down. It's tough out there. And life is going to buck you off. To prepare you for those next 20 years, life is going to buck you off. You're going to have the challenges. But the faster that you can dust yourself off and get back on, the better the ride's going to be. Run the race to win. I know even the Bible talks about the race. In 1 Corinthians 9:24, it says, all the runners run, but only one gets the prize. But run in such a way as to win. So I want to inspire you guys to run the race to win, but know what you're racing for. Thank you, guys. God bless you.
Mr. McCoy, thank you so much for being with us here this evening. Your inspiring message certainly gives us an excellent roadmap for that amazing race that a lot of us call life. Thank you once again, and please accept this token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead. The best part about ag classrooms is that there are no two alike. They all have different classes, components, and activities that they play host to. Similarly, the Kansas FFA Association has a variety of members with a vast array of achievements. We've highlighted accomplishments of members and teams, welcomed new chapters, and heard an inspiring message. We are just one session down, but let's use these different perspectives to inspire our own classrooms, homes, and chapters. Will my fellow officers please join me on stage? Mr. Secretary, do you have a record of any further business which should now be transacted?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. Don't miss the second session of the 91st Kansas FFA Convention tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. or the SAE Fair at 9 a.m. We will meet our 2019 state officer candidates, present the Kansas Farm Bureau Community Grants, recognize the Building Communities National Chapter Awards, introduce the Kansas FFA Foundation Board, congratulate the Leadership Information winners, recognize SAE grant recipients, award the KAAE SA winners, welcome special remarks from our National FFA Secretary, Lainey LeBlanc, and hear the retiring address of your Kansas FFA Sentinel, Garrett Craig.
Thank you. Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this session? We are about to adjourn this opening session of the 91st Kansas FFA Convention. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and, above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now declare this session adjourned.
All it takes is just one moment, one encounter, just one step.